Madam City Manager, Assistant City Manager, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the Newport News Police Department, family and friends, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about your new chief, Steve Robert Drew. Steve began his distinguished career in law enforcement 25 years ago with the Richmond Police Department. He started his career in 1993. He has served the Richmond community unselfishly for these 25 years with pride, excellence, and integrity. During this time, he has served in a myriad of assignments in the police department, starting, as everyone does, as a patrol officer, working in specialized units such as the street enforcement unit, and as a sergeant in the rapid mobility team. He served as watch commander, a precinct commander. When I assumed command of the department 3.5 years ago, he was a major overseeing our special support services, which was our specialized units. And then he was promoted to deputy chief of patrol services. Upon assuming my command of the department in 2015, I witnessed what every chief of police would want from one of his or her managers. And that's a compassionate and caring person with a servant's heart, who wanted nothing but the best for his or her department and the community. A leader and a visionary. Steve was one of my first promotions as a member of my senior command staff. And I must say that I have an eye, if you will, for recognizing talent. As a result, why are you laughing, Dad? You must know something that I don't know. Nevertheless, in promoting Steve, he helped me, along with other members of the command staff, successfully reduce violent crime by 12% my first year, and we created safe neighborhoods throughout the city of Richmond. When it comes to community policing, this man gets it. He assisted in building a culture of accountability and transparency, building relationships, but most importantly, ensuring that those under his or her command treated everybody, be it an employee or members of the community that we serve, with respect and fairness. That's all that any of us wants. He has had a profound impact on me, our staff, our law enforcement colleagues, and the citizens that we serve. Because of Steve's legacy in the city of Richmond, Richmond is a better place through his passion and commitment to serve. We now know that Richmond's loss is the city of Newport News' gain, and you have certainly gained a lot by selecting Steve Drew as your chief of police. Steve is a man of faith. Quite often, we sit in the office and just talk about how good God is. When it comes to having a moral compass, Steve's compass will always point in the right direction. That is what is always right, and he will always take the best course of action with fairness and justice in mind. I have personally observed Steve on several occasions provide financial support for many families and youth in need in our city, whether it was making purchases for clothing for kids to go back to school, purchasing food for families for Thanksgiving, or buying gifts for families in need. These are just some of the characteristics of the man that you have sitting here, seated before you today. I believe that one of the most important things that Steve has learned from me as a leader, as a mentor, is that a leader has to be courageous, especially in the midst of turmoil, stress, and strife. Today, all across these United States, we are seeing the complications and the complexities between communities and police departments. We are faced with more challenges when it comes to building trust and legitimacy from many people that we are sworn to protect and serve. In many cases, we must admit that we have brought this on ourselves due to the way that we treat certain people, especially persons of color. The lack of trust, ridicule, and scrutiny in many cases are self-inflicted. He fully understands that as a chief, our integrity is all that we have for those that we serve to judge us by. Steve understands that institutional cultures are things that we as leaders oftentimes allow. And oftentimes, if it's ignored or if gone unchecked, it becomes the norm for that institution, but not for the community. That's when we have to have the checks and balances in place to ensure that it does not become the norm. I am certain that there will be change in the police department. For you, chiefs are agents of change. And sometimes change can be a good thing, for we all know that doing the same old things end up with the same old results. But do know that Steve will not affect those changes without input from members of his department and especially the community. I'd like to give everyone a heads up about Steve. You'll know that Steve is real nervous when he sits there and starts picking on his fingers and starts chewing his nails. So look out for that, that's a sign. Give him some help, please. Steve is a workaholic. So do expect to be putting in long hours, and don't be surprised that when you're on the scene of an incident at 2 o'clock in the morning, that your chief will be out there with you. And for members of the command staff, expect calls or text messages early in the morning hours, and in that text message, hey, are you up? And the reason he has done that to me so many times, and it's reciprocated, is because he has those aha moments. Always thinking, what's the next step to serve and protect our communities? And I'm pretty sure that will not change. In closing, I'm reminded of a statement that one of my mentors told me as I was preparing to assume command of the Richmond Police Department. And that advice that he gave me, that in law enforcement, police chiefs come and go. Our shelf life is oftentimes expired before we're ready for it to. However, the police personnel are an omnibus. A chief is considered to be the shepherd, and the personnel, the men and women of your police department, are considered the sheep. The city of Newport News has certainly appointed a good shepherd, one that will watch over his flock, and I'm confident that the sheep will follow you, Steve. Congratulations.